Is film school a necessity in the modern era that we live in today? The year is 2019, and now more than ever, there is a constant underlying question of whether or not many of the creative learning courses from university like film school or photography and music are actually necessary. Film school particularly comes to mind because you do not get many dedicated photography and music schools, but you do, however, get filmmaking schools that are focused on teaching aspects of filmmaking like film production, film theory, screenwriting, and digital media production. In most cases, photography and music learning resources are found in the form of shorter courses generally offered at university or college, but not as fully fledged bachelor's programs. So, is film school actually worth it in 2019? I recently came to the realization that every single thing I know in photography and cinema up till this point, so I'm talking about exposure, focal lengths, color theory, frame rate, resolution, aspect ratios, and so on, has been purely self-taught. All of it, and I mean every single bit of it. 5 years ago, I had absolutely no idea what shutter angle was or ISO and composition, but here I am today, a photographer and videographer doing work for many different types of clients. So naturally, the next question on my mind was, had I invested in film school or any sort of media related courses back then, would I be any better off than I am right now in terms of skill set and knowledge? The answer to that question is probably not, or I certainly do not believe so. During the last 5 years, I've done so much research from articles to reviews just to become a little bit more knowledgeable each time. One thing I quickly learned is that if you look at the curriculum of any film school or any photography course, you will immediately realize that all the learning material you need is right here on the internet, a quick Google search away. It's actually quite mind-blowing, to be perfectly honest. I was recently acquainted with a local film school student here in Perth, and he was working on a project that I was involved in. Long story short, he needed to interview a number of creative people in the YouTube space, myself included. What struck me the most while working with him was just his workflow and the way in which he executed every action while working with the camera or the microphone setup and even composition. It was exactly what I would do and exactly what I do all the time when I'm working on making these videos for YouTube or even just out on the field doing client work. It became immediately apparent to me that our knowledge base was the same, and in many of the cases, I was actually more informed and learned about certain aspects regarding video work that might not necessarily be covered in depth at film school. Now look, I am by no means suggesting that I am a professional filmmaker, but wouldn't I be able to be one if I just tried? I don't believe there was anything he knew that I didn't know, so why would I ever go to film school? You do not need to go to film school to do film work or video work. You do not need to do photography courses to be a professional photographer, and you certainly do not need to do music courses to be a musician. The key word here is need. And while many of you will rush straight to the comment section and run riot, I want all of you to keep in mind the wording I have used. I said you do not need. That means that yes, film school is beneficial for any filmmaker. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? But what I'm saying is that you do not need to go to film school to learn all the things that are taught at film school. The internet is such an amazing resource for self-education. Use it. Do not be intimidated. As an engineer, I've always thought to myself that if I can solve complex derivatives and integrals of high magnitudes, then how hard can the math and science behind your camera sensor or camera lens or audio microphone be? And while I know that not everyone is an engineer, for both good and for worse, I believe this is the right attitude to have when it comes to any kind of learning. Find out about screenwriting or color theory or digital film or film production. If you are motivated and dedicated enough, then you will be able to easily learn all the things that you need to learn without ever going to a single class. Everything is a simple Google search away. Make use of online classes like Udemy, Skillshare, or No Film School, just to name a few. These are websites that have tons of learning resources that you can use. I'll leave a couple of links in the description for you to check out as always. So is film school necessary in the modern era? I'd have to say no, or mostly no. All the things that you can be taught there, you can learn yourself. However, where film school becomes beneficial is with certification and achievements. As a self-taught filmmaker or photographer or musician, you have no real quantifiable evidence that validates your skills and knowledge besides your portfolio. Just think about it this way. If you were to hire a director for your film, you're definitely going with the one that's been to film school X and gotten X certificates and achievements and so on. But then again, on the flip side, if you had a film school director that's done work in the past that's not particularly compelling and a self-taught director with an impressive portfolio, then you pick the one that's done better work, right? So I guess it goes both ways. But ultimately, the message of this video is that you want to be a filmmaker. If yes, then start right now. Get your computer and start building your knowledge. It's only a click away. And then if you need to go to film school, you do that. But know that a vast majority of what you learn there is stuff you could have learned all by yourself on the internet or from books and other literature. There are tons of learning resources on the web these days, and in many cases you can actually do filmmaking courses or photography courses online which will teach you the exact same stuff but are most likely cheaper than going to college or university. Thanks for watching, and I hope that this video has been helpful to you. What do you guys think? Is filmmaking still necessary in 2019? Please drop a like or a comment if you enjoyed the video, and if you didn't enjoy it, make sure to hit that dislike button twice. If you're new to the channel, then make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell icon to get notified when I upload new videos. Catch you folks in the next one.